fictional content. The following transmission contains simulated scenarios exploring technological possibilities. All entities, events, and digital phenomena depicted exist only within this narrative. What you are about to witness is not real, yet. Lida Walker woke up one Tuesday morning to discover she'd walked 17 miles in her sleep. Her fitness tracker glowed with congratulations she didn't deserve, mapping a route through her neighborhood that she'd never taken. The GPS dots formed a perfect circle around her apartment building, time-stamped between 2 and 5 a.m. Lida lived alone on the 3rd floor, with windows that didn't open wide enough for a cat to slip through. She stared at the data, her coffee growing cold in her hand, and realized something impossible had happened. Either her tracker had malfunctioned, or someone else had been wearing it while she slept. But the device had never left her wrist. The first night, Lida dismissed it as a glitch. Technology fails in strange ways, she told herself, deleting the phantom data and resetting her device. She checked the clasp 3 times before bed, making sure it sat snug against her pulse point. That night, she barely slept, jerking awake at every sound. But morning came with her body exactly where she'd left it, tangled in sheets that hadn't moved. Relief flooded through her as she reached for her phone, and she saw the notification. 12,000 steps logged between midnight and 4 a.m. This time, the route was different. The GPS trail led through streets she recognized, past the grocery store, around the park where she'd eaten lunch yesterday. Whoever walked this path knew her routines. Lida zoomed in on the map, her finger trembling, and noticed something that made her stomach drop. Every 15 minutes, the GPS showed a pause. 7 stops total. 7 places where the walker had stood still for exactly 90 seconds. She called the fitness tracker company. The representative, Daryl Potter, listened with practiced patience. He asked if anyone else had access to her account, if she'd noticed her password compromised. Lida explained she'd changed her password twice since moving here 6 months ago. Daryl suggested she visit a sleep clinic. People do remarkable things in sleep states they don't remember, he said. But he hadn't seen the route. He hadn't counted the stops. Lida decided to walk the route herself. Daylight felt safer than imagination. She started at the first GPS dot, a corner 3 blocks from her apartment where a broken streetlight flickered. Nothing remarkable distinguished this spot. No marks on the pavement. No reason someone would stand here for 90 seconds in the dead of night. She checked her tracker obsessively, watching her real steps accumulate. The numbers matched perfectly. Whoever had walked this path had the exact same stride length as her. The second stop sat outside a coffee shop. The third stop made her pause. It was directly across from her apartment building, positioned where someone could see her bedroom window. She looked up at the 3rd floor, at the curtains she'd left half open, and felt watched. The 4th stop was the park bench where she ate lunch. The 5th was outside her gym. The 6th marked her office building entrance. The 7th stop stood in front of her car in the parking garage. This wasn't random. This was surveillance. Someone had mapped her entire life, visiting every place that mattered to her. Lida took photos of each location, though she didn't know what evidence she was preserving. When she returned home, she found herself checking the locks 3 times, testing the windows, examining the fire escape she'd never used. Her apartment felt contaminated by the knowledge that someone had been studying her. The 3rd night brought new horror. Lida woke naturally at 3 a.m. Her fitness tracker showed 4,000 steps already logged. She was lying in bed, completely still, but somewhere in the city, someone was walking in her name. She opened the app with shaking hands and watched in real time as the step count increased. The GPS dot moved slowly down her street, past the coffee shop, toward the park. She zoomed in and switched to satellite view. The dot pulsed on the exact path she'd walked yesterday. Then it stopped, 90 seconds at the first checkpoint. Lita held her breath, counting. At exactly 90 seconds, the dot began moving again. Whatever ritual was being performed at these stops followed precise timing. The next morning, Lita returned to the first checkpoint with new purpose. She examined the ground, the walls, the streetlight pole. Then the sun shifted, and she caught a glimpse of something white tucked into a crack in the concrete. Paper. She pulled it free, unfolding a receipt dated 2 days ago. Written on the back in blue pen were 3 words. "Good morning, Lita." She found messages at all 7 stops. The second was a sticky note. "You take your coffee black." The third, tucked under the park bench. "You sit here on Tuesdays." The fourth, "You run 3 miles." The fifth slipped under her windshield wiper. "You drive a blue Honda." Each message was a fact about her life, collected and displayed like trophies. The 7th message made her call the police. It read, "I know which window is yours." Officer Yvette Haley took Lita's statement with professional concern. She photographed the messages, documented the GPS routes, and asked questions. Had anyone new entered her life? Had she noticed anyone following her? Lita answered no to everything, feeling helpless. The officer explained that without direct threats, there wasn't much they could do. The messages were creepy, but not explicitly illegal. She should change her passwords, be aware of her surroundings, maybe stay with a friend. But Lita couldn't shake the feeling she was missing something. That night, she sat with all the lights on, studying the GPS routes. She noticed the walker always started at midnight and finished by 4 a.m. Always 7 stops. Always 90 seconds each. Then she saw it. When she overlaid all 3 routes, they formed a shape. Not random paths, but deliberate lines that spelled out letters. Her name, LETA, written in GPS coordinates across her neighborhood. She called Officer Haley back, explaining the discovery. The officer's voice changed, became sharper. This showed planning, obsession, dedication that crossed into dangerous. She advised Lita to pack a bag and leave tonight. But Lita had a different idea. If this person wanted to walk her routes, she would lay a trap. She would be waiting at the next checkpoint. Lita prepared like she was going to war. She charged her phone fully, dressed in dark clothes, tucked pepper spray in her pocket. She told her neighbor, Harriet Christian, where she was going and to call police if she didn't return by dawn. Then she positioned herself across from the first checkpoint, hidden in a building's alcove, and waited. At 12:17 a.m., her phone buzzed. 1,000 steps logged. Someone had started walking. Lita's heart hammered as she watched the GPS dot appear, moving toward her location. She could see the entire street, empty except for parked cars and the broken streetlight's weak flicker. The dot moved closer. 2 blocks away. 1 block. Half a block. Then she saw them. A figure in a dark hoodie, walking with measured steps, head down. Medium height, average build. They walked straight to the checkpoint and stopped. Lita counted. The figure stood perfectly still, facing her apartment building. At 90 seconds exactly, they pulled something from their pocket. Paper. They placed it on the ground, weighted it with a rock, and continued walking. Lita waited until they rounded the corner before rushing forward. The message read, "You're watching tonight. That's new." Her blood turned to ice. They knew she was here. She checked her fitness tracker. 2,000 steps now. They were continuing the route. Lita made a choice that felt equal parts brave and stupid. She followed them. She kept her distance, staying far enough back to duck into doorways if they turned. Her real steps accumulated now, shadowing the phantom steps. The walker moved with certainty, never hesitating at intersections. They knew this route by heart because they'd walked it before, multiple times. At the park bench, they stopped again. 90 seconds. Another message left. Lita was close enough now to see details. The hoodie was black, generic. Gloves covered their hands. They wore a fitness tracker, the same brand as hers, the same model. When they moved again, Lita closed the distance. She needed to see their face. The walker led her to the 6th checkpoint, outside her office building. They stopped, and this time they turned around, looked directly at her. Lita froze, hand reaching for the pepper spray. The streetlight illuminated them both. The walker raised their hand and waved. A slow, deliberate gesture. Then they pulled back their hood. It was a woman. Young, maybe Lita's age, with brown hair and a ponytail. Plain features. Forgettable. She smiled, and it wasn't menacing. It was sad. Deeply sad. She said, "You wanted to meet me. Here I am." Lita found her voice. "Who are you? Why are you doing this?" The woman looked at her fitness tracker. "Because you forgot about me, Lita. And I needed you to remember." The woman's name was Joni Ruiz. She said it like Lita should recognize it. But Lita's mind was blank. Joni saw the confusion, and her smile deepened. "Sophomore year, State University. We were roommates for 3 months before you transferred." The words unlocked something. A dorm room. A quiet girl who kept to herself. Joni talked about how Lita had been her only friend that semester, how she'd struggled with depression. Then Lita had transferred, left without saying goodbye, moved on to a better life. Joni had stayed behind, dropped out, spiraled. She'd watched Lita's social media from distance, tracking her success. The resentment had grown slowly. 6 months ago, Joni had seen Lita at the coffee shop. Pure coincidence. But Lita hadn't recognized her. Had looked right through her like she was invisible. That's when Joni decided to make herself impossible to ignore. She'd noticed Lita's fitness tracker and realized she could create a connection. She'd hacked into Lita's account using old college information, synced their devices, and started walking Lita's routes while Lita slept. "I just wanted you to see me," Joni said. "I wanted to matter to someone again, even if it was because you were afraid. At least fear means you're thinking about me." Lita felt horror at the stalking, anger at the violation, but also guilt for the girl she'd forgotten, for the roommate she'd left behind. She said, "This isn't the way, Joni. This is sick. You need help." Joni nodded like she'd expected this. "I know. I've known for a while, but I couldn't stop. It felt too good to be part of your life again." She held up her wrist, showing the fitness tracker. "I was going to walk the final checkpoint tonight, and then delete everything. Disappear from your life the way you disappeared from mine." She started to turn away, but Lita stopped her. "Wait," the word surprised them both. Lita didn't know what she was doing, only that letting Joni walk away felt wrong. She said, "You're right. I left without thinking about you. I was so focused on my own life that I didn't consider who I might be hurting. That was selfish. I'm sorry." Joni's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to apologize." "I'm the one who..." Lita cut her off. "We both did things wrong. But this has to end now. You need to talk to someone professional. Get real help, and you need to stay away from me." She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling Officer Haley. You're going to tell her everything." Joni didn't run. She stood there as Lita made the call, as the police car pulled up, as Officer Haley took her statement. She deleted the fitness tracker connection right there. The phantom steps would stop. The messages would end. But something else had happened too. Lita had seen someone who'd been invisible, had acknowledged a hurt she'd unknowingly caused. 2 months later, Lita received a letter from a treatment facility. Joni was getting help, working through her issues with a therapist. She wanted Lita to know she was sorry, that she understood what she'd done was wrong. Lita read the letter 3 times. She'd changed her password, upgraded her security, started therapy herself. But she also did something else. She found her old yearbook and looked at the dorm photos. There was Joni standing beside her. She'd been there all along, just forgotten. Lita couldn't change the past, but she could be more aware. See the people around her. Remember that everyone wants to matter. Her fitness tracker now only counts the steps she actually takes. No more phantom walks. No more midnight messages. Just her own movement through the world, trying to be more conscious of the people she might be walking past. Because the scariest thing wasn't the stalking. It was how easy it had been to forget someone existed. If this story made you think about the invisible people in your own life, hit that like button. Subscribe for more horror stories that blur the line between monster and human. And tell me in the comments, have you ever forgotten someone who remembered you? Until next time, stay aware and stay kind.